Hello everyone, and welcome to another video, another edition of the Road to Rotation. Up today we have the OP04 leader Rebecca, who's both blue and black, 5,000 power / type with 5 life. This leader cannot attack. This is the third of these that we've seen so far in this series. Then it has activate main once per turn. You can pay 1 Dawn. If you have 6 or less cards in your hand, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand, then trash the rest. So really important with this one, because you are only looking at the top 2 and you're looking specifically for Dressrosa, that means that you need to have a much higher density of on archetype cards than normal. Luckily, this leader has a whole lot of different types of support. Not all of it directly for her, but we've had 2 different Dressrosa type leaders, and we're getting a third in the next set. Plus, there's been a lot of Revolutionary Army type characters who just happen to be Dressrosa leaders as well. So there is a whole bunch of support for this archetype in various forms that kind of congeals around a couple different things. So because there's so much in archetype stuff, I think I'm only going to have to go over what's in archetype, and then I'll also kind of pop over and look at some of the new cards for the new Rebecca leader, which will be coming out in OP15 here in the West, which will be just after rotation. So it will only be relevant for the extra regulation format, so I'm going to hold it off to this end. But let's just hop into it. First up, we have a 1-cost 1k 2k counter with on play up to 1 of your Dressrosa type characters can also attack active characters during this turn. So this is a useful utility piece for one reason in particular, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom because there is one card in particular which is very important for this leader that a lot of the things around here will hinge around. So we have the 1-drop stage Corrida Coliseum. If your leader has the Dressrosa type, your Dressrosa type characters can attack characters on the turn in which they are played. So if you combine Corrida Coliseum with Gyatz, your characters can attack into both active and with rush your opponent's characters, and that makes the kind of the bedrock for all of the way this deck works. Is a lot of it works on being able to swing into your opponent's characters immediately, and then using your leader ability to keep your characters healthy, and then a couple other tricksy combinations to help finish out the game. So moving on to the next card, and again leaning into some of the theming here, we have the 1-cost 2,000 power 1k counter Leo, who has on play you may rest 1 of your leaders. If your leader has the Dressrosa type, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less, then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. So not necessarily a high value card, but it is important for going with some of our other effects. This one just lets you get rid of a 1-cost, but also gets you stuff in trash. This is early on when Black was starting to really take advantage of the need to have things in trash. And so you'll see a lot of that stacked on top of this, including the leader ability, which puts the other card into the trash. There's just a lot of it that goes around. Next up, we have one of our archetype searchers. We have 1-cost 2,000 power 1k counter Rebecca with on play. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card other than Rebecca and add to your hand, then trash the rest. So a trashing searcher for a top 3 in black. Pretty standard nowadays, but this was one of the first of its kind. I think with Brand New maybe coming out the last in OP3, who did something similar, but he cost 2 for what he did. So this started the whole 1-cost archetype of this. Moving on, we have Manchuri. She's a 1-cost 0 power 1k counter with activate main. You may rest 1 done, and you may rest this character and place 2 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. Add up to 1 black character with a cost of 3 to 5 from your trash to your hand. There are a couple really important cards in the 3 to 5 range that we'll go over in a bit, but here's one of the ways we're starting to use the trash that we're filling up so liberally with Leo, Rebecca, and our leader Rebecca. Being able to recur your guys, really good when you have some 2Ks and such that fit in that mold. So just a nice value piece that forces your opponents to swing into it. After that, we have a newer card here. This one's from OP04. It is a Rebecca with 2 costs, 0 power, 1k counter, and blocker. And then on play, look at the top 5 from your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type stage, and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order, and play up to 1 Dressrosa type stage with a cost of 1 from your hand. So this is really important because Corrida Coliseum is really important for the way this deck generally functions. So being able to have a dedicated searcher just for the stage that also plays it out and is a blocker on top of that. A lot to like about this one. Fills in a lot of holes that the archetype had previously, where you wouldn't find stage and it would be much harder to work through the deck. Next up is a very boring one. We have the 2 cost, 2000 power, 1k counter blocker, EDO. This is an important effect just as a card that you continually bring back with your recycling effects, find them, and then play them out for cheap, giving you quite a bit of defense in the back end that makes it hard for your opponents to kind of find the end game. After that, we have the one-legged toy soldier. This is a 2 cost, 0 power, 2k counter with activate main. You may trash this character. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3 cost during this turn. This is a rather effective way of getting a minus 3 cost. Not the most cost efficient, but pretty darn close. And putting itself into the trash means that it'll be ready to be recycled and then put back on the bottom of your library, and very easy to kind of chain a lot of 2Ks into the end game. You can have hands of using the same 2Ks several times in a row. After that, we have another 2K, this time from OP10. 2 cost, 2000 power, 2k counter with on play. You may rest one of your Dressrosa type leader or stage cards, and up to one of your Monkey D. Luffy characters gains banish during this turn. So we'll get to it at the end with our top end, but giving Luffy banish is a pretty effective way of winning the game, and I'll make sure to bring it back up when we get to Luffy near the end. After that, we have one of the iconic cards for the deck. This is the 3 cost Kyros. He's got 5000 power, no counter, with if this leader would be, or if this character would be KO'd, you may rest your leader or one Corrida Coliseum instead. So he's got some good KO protection there. And then on play, if your leader is Rebecca, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less, then trash 1 card from the top of your deck. So this one works really nicely with Toy Soldier here, getting you a nice KO early at not too much cost, and it has a lot of good protection with the ability to rest both your leader and your Corrida Coliseum to try to protect it, which is great. It's also important to note that this says if this character would be KO'd, that means that it could die in combat, it could die to your other effects, a couple of which we will go over later, and it could die to your opponent's effects. And this has protection from all of those as long as you have either your leader or your Corrida Coliseum available to tap. After that, we have the 3 cost, 4000 power, 1k counter Suleiman with on play and when attacking. If your leader has the Dressrosa type, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2 cost during this turn, then trash 1 card from the top of your deck. Another pretty solid way of getting some minus on your opponent. You get it both on play and when attacking, so you can kind of force your opponent to swing into it if it sticks around for a turn. Comboing nicely with Kyros here to extend out the KO power. After that, we have another 2K here, another good option. There's quite a few good options for 2Ks in this deck, but we have Bartolomeo. He's a 3 cost, 3000 power, 2K counter with blocker. Like we mentioned with Manchuri here, she can get back black characters starting at 3 cost, so being able to get back your 2K counters is quite nice here. and also will be relevant for another card we'll get to very shortly. After that, we have Orlumbus, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter. With activate main once per turn, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn, and trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. Then KO up to one of your Dressrosa type characters. So, like I was saying, because this doesn't specify your opponent's effect, you can KO him with this Orlumbus to give a -4 to something without losing any resources. If you play Orlumbus and you have nothing on board, you do have to KO your own Orlumbus, but if you have something like a Kyros, or a Leo, or a Gyatz, or a Rebecca that you've laid out earlier in the game, then those are all perfect fodder for giving the -4, which would synergize really nicely with this Kyros. So all in all, a great little set of combos going on here, with a lot of little stuff that is nice to KO to combo into this Kyros. After that, we have a classic black card here. We have the 4 cost Rebecca. She's a 0 power 1k counter blocker with on play. Add up to 1 black character with a cost of 3 to 7 other than Rebecca from your trash to your hand. Then play up to 1 black character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand rested. Perfect match for this Kyros. If your opponents do manage to get it off the board, or you have to let it go because you've used up your leader and your Karita Coliseum, being able to get it back with a blocker and play it out as all in one go is a great place to be. It also works really nicely with any of your, because it only gets back 4 or 3 or more. So your Bartolomeo, a great card to get back, another 2k that you can get back off of her, and then you could even play it out. If you play out blockers and your opponents don't have a good smaller swing to play at this, you might just get a free block out of this because your opponents were going to swing and you were probably going to block anyways. So if you play it out rested, your opponents oftentimes will try to find a way to get your blockers off the board so you don't have access to them on a future turn. But other good things that this Rebecca does, the 7 is important for our top end Luffy that we'll get to in a bit. Allowing you to recur your top end as well, and all in all, just quite strong. One thing that you can do, which I think is very much intended, is you can use the Mancherry for Tudon to get back the Rebecca, who will be able to chain it further, making this a nice little combo with these princesses. They came out in the same set, and I think that there's a pretty obvious synergy that they're going for with them. Moving on to our, is this our first? No, it's not our first blue card. It's our second blue card in the thing. We have the 4 cost 6,000 power Cavendish. He has no counter, and when attacking once per turn, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. Great kind of card. This is also a really good on curve play that is worth protecting because of how much card draw you can get out of it, which makes your defensive plays even stronger. And it also happens to trash cards, giving you fuel for stuff like Mancherry or Rebecca as well. So there's a lot to like about this Cavendish. And with the Coliseum, he will be able to attack right away, as long as they have a rested character or you have another effect that lets you attack active characters. So great card for the archetype. Works really well. After that, we have another 2k. This is the 4 cost 5,000 power 2k counter Sabo, with if your character with a base cost of 7 or less other than Sabo would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may return this character to its owner's hand instead. Like I mentioned, the 7 cost is important for our later top end cards, Luffy in particular, and being able to pay 4 to preemptively protect your Luffy from any sort of removal is great. After that, we have the 4 cost 5,000 power 1k counter Frankie. He is a blocker with on KO, play up to 1 Dressrosa type character with a cost of 3 or less from your trash rested. This one works very well in Usopp, one of the other Dressrosa type leaders, but it also works really well with all of our blockers because you get to use blockers to summon up blockers, and if your opponents don't respect it, then you end up with another blocker at the end of the day. So they have to swing a lot of swings to get all of your stuff off of the board. And this also works as an on KO If you have to, if it sticks on the board, then you can swing with it and then use Orlumbus to KO, and then still be able to get back a body, kind of forcing your opponent to deal with the threats that you're bringing back off of this. Notably, this does bring back heroes. So if you have Frankie on the field, you can play Orlumbus, swing, and then use Orlumbus to summon the heroes off of Frankie after the -4, which is a pretty strong little combo there you got there. After that, we have the 4-cost, 6,000 power, no counter Rono Zoro. With on play, you may rest one of your Dressrosa type leaders or stage cards, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less, then trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. Another important piece, we have a couple KOs, and it's important to be able to have enough copies to reliably see them. Between Orlumbus and Toy Soldier and a couple other effects, you should have enough to control the mid game pretty effectively with both Kyros and Zoro, as long as they don't have protection on their characters, which is in this current meta a pretty high bar, but definitely in other metas this would have definitely been a very effective way of kind of controlling the mid game. After that, we have the 5-cost, 6,000 power 1k counter Sabo, who is a blocker with on play, none of your characters can be KO'd by effects until the start of your next turn, then draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. Importantly, this works well with Orlumbus. You can play this down, give your whole board KO protection, and then use the Orlumbus ability that one time per turn without having to KO any of your guys. Very effective use there. Also just really good at kind of filtering your hand and protecting your characters from just normal sorts of KO effects that you might see out of, particularly out of black decks. After that, we have Haryuden. He's a 6-cost, 7,000 power 1k counter with activate main. You may rest your leader. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn. Another option for the Orlumbus spot with a little bit better body, and it doesn't actually require a KO, so if you haven't found the stuff to synergize with it, this is a little less harsh on your card economy. After that, we have this secret Monkey D. Luffy from OP10, 6-cost, 7,000 power, 1k counter, which is nice for a card that's higher up on the curve. He has, once per turn, this character cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects. And then, when attacking, you may face 3 cards from the trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. If your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand. This is important that this when attacking goes really nicely with Karita Coliseum, allowing you to get that trash from their hand right away, and getting a nice 7k swing, which is usually going to be pretty effective pressure on their characters. So one to watch. After that, we have from PRB2 the 6-cost, 6,000 power 2k counter Sabo. If you have 15 or more cards in your trash, give this card in your hand -3 cost, and then he has blocker. So a 3-cost, 6,000 blocker is actually very good, and this deck is actually very effective at getting 15 or more cards in your trash. Between your leader ability and a lot of your other effects, you will hit 15 very early in the game, and those numbers are easy to work around, especially when you can deploy a cheap blocker off of the kind of the stat of having the 15 or more cards. After that, we have the 7-cost, 7,000 power, no counter Monkey D. Luffy. This is our main top end card. Very effective way of winning the game. This character can also attack active characters, which is super strong with Karita Coliseum. He can come down right away, swinging into their characters. But he also has activate main once per turn. You may return 7 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Set this character as active. Then this character will not become active in your next refresh phase. So it lets you swing into their board twice even. And after it's stuck on board for a turn, you can use its ability to swing twice into your opponent's life, which is why the Musi, or Usi, I guess, is so effective with Luffy. Giving banish on a double swinging character is actually very, very strong. And there's even a little bit more synergy that we'll have going into the events for this deck. But very important. One of the things that also happens with this deck that you might not see in every other deck is you will often risk running out of cards entirely. This Luffy is actually very important because putting 7 back on the bottom of your deck is actually really important in prolonging the game to the point where you can push through for a win. So in addition to being a very effective way at finishing the game, it's very important to keep you from losing the game to deck out. After that, we have the 7-cost 9,000 power no counter Kyros with on play return up to 1 character with a base with a cost of 5 or less to the owner's hand. Just a really good kind of mid-game removal card, and being able to swing right away with Kyros off of Kurita Coliseum. It's actually very, very effective as a way of removing threats from the board. You get to bounce one of their blockers and swing into something else that they've already invested an attack into. After that, we have a 1-cost event searcher, the Follow Me and I Will Guide You, and this one is just a top 5 searcher for the Dressrosa type with a trigger of Activate Main. So pretty self-explanatory on this one. After that, we have the 1-cost event Gum Gum Rhino Schneider with main up to 1 of your Dressrosa type characters gains 2,000 power during this turn. Then, if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, that card gains Banish during this turn. It also has a trigger of draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. So another important card to go with your Luffy here, being able to give him Banish in a second way. I would probably opt to using the Musi more because it's the 2K, but this one does give you the benefit of giving you plus 2,000 power, which does make this quite easy to use and quite likely to be able to connect, especially because you can attack their blocker first, force it out, and then know that they won't be able to block and maybe even invest more Dawn into it on the second swing. After that, we have another one that goes with this combo. We have the Gum Gum King Kong Gun. It's a 3-cost event with main up to 1 of your Dressrosa type characters gains 6,000 power during this turn. Then, if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, that card gains double attack during this turn. So, refresher on how that works with this Luffy here. If you give him double attack and banish and restand him, you can effectively deal 4 banish damage in 1 turn with 1 card and just recycling a good chunk from your graveyard, just 7 actually. And if your opponent is on 2 life, then you can banish the first 2 and then swing a second one for game. Notably, if they're on an odd number of life, it's a little bit less effective at the moment that you play it, but it is still reasonable to go for it, especially if you have banish involved. And then when we get back, we've kind of circled back to Kurita Coliseum. And with that, that's kind of all of the cards in the archetype up to this point. Now, briefly, I want to go over the next set of cards. So Rebecca is getting a new leader in OP15. This is another leader who cannot attack. She's mono blue this time, same amount of power. And then she has Activate Main. You may rest this leader and return 1 of your Dressrosa type characters to the owner's hand. Play up to 1 Dressrosa type character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So this one works pretty similar to how you might expect a red-green law or green-yellow law would work, where you're picking up your guys and playing out the things, but there's a lot less investment that you have to do into your board to get value out of the effect. The trade-off you're getting, though, is you're dealing with a character or a leader who can't attack, which is a pretty big downside, but given enough kind of aggro, you can really make it work. Pretty meaningfully effective card for what it does. And let's go over some of the cards that might be relevant for the old Rebecca going into extra regulation. I just wanted to touch on this one while we go over some of these cards. So first we have the 1-cost 2,000 power 2K counter, Viola. With on play, look at the top 3 from your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand, then place the rest of the deck in any order. So a little bit less effective in the other one. The Rebecca Searcher lets them go to the trash, which means that you can use your recycling effects. This one just puts them back at the bottom of your library. But in either case, you are getting some pretty effective value, in this case out of a 2K. After that, we have the 1 cost 2000 power 2K counter Leo. This one is quite a bit more powerful. It is, if your character with 7,000 base power or less would be removed from the field by your opponent's effects, you may place up to one of your characters at the bottom of the owner's deck instead. 7,000 power base is exactly what our Luffy is at, so this does protect our Black Luffy, both of them actually, and being able to just bottom deck Leo, for example, or another searcher that you happen to have played out, while also kind of reloading your deck, potentially with some 2Ks, is actually a pretty effective way at protecting him. After that, we have a 1 cost 0 power 1K counter Rebecca with Dawn ×1. This character gains blocker. And then on play, look at the top 3 from your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So another searcher that we can do, this time trading the 2K for the ability to make this one into a blocker. Probably you want to bounce this one first because the 2Ks are better in hand, and then this one can stay on board and become a blocker. Great card. You have so much searchability now in the deck, even though not all of it is going to the trash, which would be the most effective. After that, we have this Kyros here, 3 cost, 5,000 power, no counter. With on play, you may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader is Rebecca, this character gains rush during this turn. And then on KO, add this character card from your trash to your hand. So if your opponents kill it in combat, you just get it back into your hand. And then with all of the searchers that you're doing, you're getting a whole lot of value out of the trashed card is essentially being replaced by one of your searchers. Last one I wanted to go over, because I think it is quite effective with the Luffy, is this 3 cost, 4,000 power, 1K counter Sanji. It is a blocker with on play up to one of your characters gains unblockable this turn. So now your Luffy can have plus 6,000 power, plus 2,000 power more from the 2 events. It'll have double attack and banish, and then with this unblockable, and then for recycling 7 cards, it gets to swing twice. That makes clearing out, let me think, what's the math? Because you have to play out these 2 events. That's 4, 5, 6, 7 Dawn. You get 7 plus 6 is 13, 14, 15, plus the 3 that's left over. 18,000 twice, dealing 4 total damage of banish, which is very, very strong. And your opponents, if they can't counter out of that 18K the first time, they're not going to be able to counter out of it the second time either. So that is a very strong banish 4 ability. But yeah, those are the cards I wanted to go over. I will hop over to the sim to go over a sample deck list for you guys. All right, now for the deck list here. This is all on archetype, actually. Cards I want to focus on. Cavendish Corrida Coliseum is going to be one of your bread and butter kind of mid-game things. Luffy, obviously, being your top end. We have a little bit of the other Luffy and this Kyros as different ways of attacking different kind of board states, because this Luffy is very good, but is also very important that you hold on to. So sometimes you will need to play out other cards in the spots where you think that this is not going to be safe to stick on the board. It's very important that you are able to hold on to some number of these Luffys so that you don't get blown out and deck out by the end of the game. Other cards I wanted to highlight, we have our main KO package of Zoro and Kyros, combined with the minus effects from Orlumbus and Suleiman, and a little bit of Haruden. And then we have our recursions with the Rebecca, and we have the searchers here with this Rebecca, this, and yeah. This deck is actually very difficult to play well. It is one that you have to be extremely patient playing. It is a control deck through and through, and if you try to go for game too early, leaving them with too much stuff on board, you will run out of cards, and you really need to be patient playing this deck. That's, I guess, the best advice I can say for playing this one. The new Rebecca, I've heard, is much more aggressive than this one, so they play very differently from each other. But this deck, because it takes so long to play out, because you're so hard in the control thing, it's actually quite difficult sometimes to finish in time for rounds. So just be aware of that when you're going in. You have to be very patient to not lose to your opponent's aggro, and then you have to play fast enough to be able to finish a game in time. You're going to give your opponent a lot of turns, so they're going to have a lot of time to waffle about. You need to be very efficient if you want to be able to finish your rounds on time. And don't be afraid to ask for a judge if you feel like your opponents are still playing you. But that is it for this deck. Next week we will be going over, let's think, it would be the blue-yellow entrance to the set, and that would be Queen, which is another interesting control deck that I haven't seen played in a very long time. So it'll be interesting to see what new stuff he might have that would work with him into extra regulation. But thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys then for that next video. Bye.